Well, since the playoff run for the Calgary Flames and our farm team, the Stockton Heat in the American Hockey League, will never line up no matter how far their team goes. So anyway, let's bring on this intro card. Hi there, it's Brett Hornby here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And if you watch most of my Calgary Flames game recaps and watch most of it, I of course appreciate if you do. Well, one segment that I have done the last couple seasons is the Stockton Heat Quick Hits, and that's what I throw in addition to the Calgary Flames game recaps. Well, now that both the Calgary Flames and the Stockton Heat are in the playoffs, and we'll go over the playoffs bracket in the American Hockey League for the 2022 Calder Cup Playoffs, I just figured it made sense to spun this out and make it its own separate video. And if you look at the title and you're wondering, first round bye, well, the American Hockey League for the 2022 Calder Cup, they actually expanded the playoffs. They had 23 teams who qualified for the playoffs and break down the bracket. However, the Stockton Heat, since they won the Pacific Division in the American Hockey League, they got to go right to the second round. So before we break down the bracket for the American Hockey League Calder Cup Playoffs and who the Stockton Heat get to play to start their run for the Calder Cup, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, home of the Flames, Hitman, Roughnecks, Stampeders, and the Cavalry FC, just make sure you hit like, subscribe, and all my other social media links down in the description below for other ways you can follow me. And of course, I have my second channel in Brett Hornby Shorts, where I exclusively put my short for content there, so I appreciate like, subscribe, both here on my main channel as well as my second channel. So take a look at the Calder Cup Playoffs for 2022. Keep in mind, this is the first time in 3 years that we are going to have a Calder Cup Playoffs, because obviously didn't have it in 2020 because something happened, and then 2021 last season they were just getting the season in, didn't have a full season. But this year, I'm not too sure if this will be a permanent thing or something to maybe poke the NHL on trying for a playoff format. I don't think it will work in the National Hockey League, but I actually like the format they use in the NHL right now. I just wish they went back to the conference format. But it's definitely interesting what they did in the American Hockey League. So as I mentioned, in the 4 divisions, basically if you were the bottom 2 teams, you were eliminated from playoff contention. And every division had different how many teams had a bye into the second round. So what they did was the teams that had a bye get in the second round, and then they had a play-in series for the first round, which is a best of 3. And then they have the division semifinals and the division finals. Those 2 series are a best of 5. And then with the conference championship, the Final Four, and the Calder Cup final, those series are best of 7. So definitely look at this. And actually, if you look at the American Hockey League, for example, in the Pacific Division, where the Stockton Heat played in, they only got to play 68 games, but other teams in our divisions, they had 72 and 78 games. So it's still unbalanced, but most of the American Hockey League is out in the eastern part of the continent, while the Pacific Division is kind of in its own bubble. So let's look at the seeds first in the Eastern Conference. So they had 6 teams in the Atlantic Division that made the playoffs. The Charlotte Checkers had the number 1 seed. Then the Springfield Thunderbirds had the number 2 seed. The Providence Bruins had the number 3 seed. The Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins had the number 4 seed. Hershey Bears had the number 5 seed. And the number 6 Bridgeport Islanders had the number 6 seed. And to look at who was affiliated from each team, well, the Charlotte Checkers, they are affiliated, actually had 2 teams they were affiliated with. this is temporary for this season. The Shark Checkers are affiliated with the Florida Panthers. They also split with the Seattle Kraken for this season, but next season the Seattle Kraken, they will have their own American Hockey League team. They will actually be called the Coachella Valley Firebirds. That will start next season. So I guess there'll be 32 teams in the American Hockey League next season with the Seattle Kraken. So that's the Shark Checkers who they're affiliated with. The Springfield Thunderbirds, they are affiliated with the, looks like, I'll find it right here. They are affiliated with the St. Louis Blues, so that's where they are. And then the Providence Bruins, actually they are affiliated with the Boston Bruins, and the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins are affiliated with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Those are definitely the gimmies. Hershey Bears, they are affiliated with the, and this is the longest serving team in the American Hockey League. They are affiliated now with the Washington Capitals and actually won those Calder Cups. Then the Bridgeport Islanders, they're affiliated with the New York Islanders. So that is the Atlantic Division. North Division, there were only 5 teams that got qualified for the playoffs. In this one, the first place was the Yucatan Comets, and now they are affiliated with the New Jersey Devils. Second place is the Syracuse Crunch. I think they're affiliated with the Tampa Bay Lightning right now, and yes they are. Third place is the Laval Rocket, which they are affiliated with the Montreal Canadiens. And then the fourth seed team is the Belleville Senators, which they're affiliated with the Ottawa Senators. And then the fifth place team, the Rochester Americans, I think they've always been affiliated with the Buffalo Sabres, and they still are today. So that is the teams in the Eastern Conference. They're all in the playoffs. So now we go shift over west with the Central Division. 5 teams qualified for the playoffs. First place team, and the team that had the best record overall. Even though Stockton Heat had the first team that qualified for the playoffs, but the team with the best record points percentage goes to the Chicago Wolves. Chicago Wolves, they are affiliated with the Carolina Hurricanes. So that's first place. Second place, the Manitoba Moose. They are affiliated with the Winnipeg Jets. Third place, Milwaukee Admirals. They are affiliated with the Nashville Predators. Fourth place, Rockford Ice Hogs. I think they're still affiliated with the Chicago Blackhawks, and they are for many years. Then in fifth place in the Central Division is the Texas Stars, who are affiliated with the Dallas Stars. So the last division is the Pacific Division, and actually 7 teams qualified for the playoffs in the Pacific Division. The Stockton Heat, which obviously is my team, affiliated with the Calgary Flames, got first place. Second place team was the Ontario Reign, who are affiliated with the Los Angeles Kings. Third place is the Colorado Eagles, and they're affiliated with the Colorado Avalanche. Fourth place team, Bakersfield Condors. They're affiliated with the Edmonton Oilers. Fifth place team is the Abbotsford Canucks. They are affiliated with the Vancouver Canucks. Sixth place team is the Henderson Silver Knights. They're affiliated with the Vegas Golden Knights. And then seventh place, the San Diego Gulls. They're affiliated with the Anaheim Ducks. So those are the teams that made the playoffs and the seedings. So now how it got interesting with the bracket is in the first, if we look at the Atlantic Division, teams that got byes were the top 2 teams. The Charlotte Checkers and the Springfield. Charlotte and Springfield were the top 2 teams that got the byes into the second round of the division semifinals. So then the best of 3 first round was the A3, A6, 3-6 matchup in the Atlantic Division, and ultimately it was Bridgeport that beat Providence 2-0. So that meant that Charlotte gets to play Bridgeport in the first round. And then Springfield, they were waiting for Wilkes-Barre Scranton and Hershey, and ultimately the 4-5, Wilkes-Barre Scranton actually defeated Hershey 2-1. So Bridgeport pulled off a little bit of an upset. in this one. So you got Charlotte playing Bridgeport and Springfield playing Millsbury Scranton. That's filling up the Atlantic Division part of the bracket when it comes to the Atlantic Division. Then the North Division, actually 3 teams got a bye into the next round. Ukiah was number 1, and then Syracuse Laval drew each other for the 2-3. So Syracuse was going to play Laval. So the only series that had a play-in series was the 4-5, and whoever won that got to play Utica, and ultimately it was Rochester that beat Belleville 2-0. So another play-in series that went only 2 games. So that's the North Division. We have Utica play Rochester and Syracuse playing Laval. And then the Central Division, once again, 3 teams got a bye into the second round. Chicago was number 1, so they got the bye, and then the 2-3 Manitoba and Milwaukee actually got to go in the bye, and that's how they play each other. So ultimately Chicago was going to either get to play Rockford or Texas, and ultimately for the 2-4 or the 4-5, Rockford won 2-0 over Texas, and that was the 4th seed. So ultimately Chicago played Rockford and Manitoba plays Milwaukee. So now in the Pacific Division, there were 3 play-in series, because ultimately the Stockton Heat were the only team that qualified for the second round, and then ultimately the Stockton Heat got to wait for whoever was the lowest ranked seeded that got out of the play-in round. So in the play-in round, the first round, you had the 4-5, you had Bakersfield playing Abbotsford, and then the 2-7, you had Ontario playing San Diego, and then the 3-6, you had Colorado play Henderson. Ultimately what happened was the Bakersfield beat Abbotsford 2-0, and then Ontario beat San Diego 2-0, and Colorado beat Henderson 2-0. So ultimately the Ontario and Colorado get to play each other in the 2-3, and then Stockton gets to play Bakersfield in the second round as a 4 seed. So all the favorites, you could say, have played each other that won, or in the Pacific Division 1. So we get a Battle of Alberta in the second round in the American Athletic League. Still hopeful that maybe we'll have that in the Stanley Cup Playoffs. As of this recording, there's still a good possibility, as both the Calgary Flames and the Dallas Stars are up 2-2 right now going home, and the Edmonton Oilers and the Los Angeles Kings are tied at 2-2 going home. So there's still a possibility that is going to be the case, but that is the bracket. So you can check on the AHL.com. I just checked on Wikipedia, which showed the whole bracket with the play-in for the bracket, but it's definitely a little messy. But to explain the playoffs, I think maybe this was this season to try it out, just to get a little more revenue. The fact that there was no Calder Cup Playoffs the last 3 seasons. So now that we know, the Stockton Heat will be taking on the Bakersfield Condors. This is a best of 5. This is the schedule we have in place for the first round bye and second round preview. I think in the next video I'll probably just recap the Stockton Heat and how they did in the playoff series, and if that's necessary, we'll keep previewing the next series and recapping. As long as it goes, I'll be its own episode now, or video, because I'm not going to be able to squeeze it in with the Flames series when it comes to timing. So how the schedule works, Game 1 will be on Tuesday, May the 10th, as Stockton has home ice. They will have home ice for the first 2 games in this best of 5. This will be a 7:30 p.m. puck drop, all mountain, at the Stockton Arena. And then Game 2 will be in the next night on Wednesday, May 11th. That would also be a 7:30 puck drop at Stockton Arena. So Stockton and Bakersfield get to play back-to-back nights for Games 1 and 2. And then Game 3, this will be on Friday, May the 13th, as the series shifts to Bakersfield. So the Stockton Heat will be on the road, taking on the Bakersfield Condors, obviously, at the Mechanics Bank Arena. This will be an 8 p.m. puck drop. And then if we need a Game 4, Game 4 will be on Sunday, May the 15th. Still in Bakersfield. That would be a 6 p.m. puck drop. Then if we need all 5 games, the 15th final game of this second round series, the American Hockey League's version of the Bell, Alberta, would be on Tuesday, May the 17th, back in Stockton. That will be a 7:30 puck drop. And then during the regular season, the Stockton Heat won the season series with the Bakersfield Condors winning 6, losing 3, and won in overtime. So I'm going to still say the Stockton Heat are definitely favorites to win the Calder Cup, or at least advance in the Calder Cup Playoffs over the Bakersfield Condors, but you just never know now that we're into playoffs. Other Stockton Heat news that I can share some awards. Mitch Love, who ultimately became the head coach of the Stockton Heat this season, after when Cale McLean, the head coach the last couple seasons, got promoted up to the Calgary Flames coaching staff. Mitch Love won Coach of the Year. Actually, last season he was coaching the Saskatoon Blades in the Western Hockey League, so congratulations to Mitch Love on winning that honor. And Dustin Wolf got named Goaltender of the Year. So congratulations to Dustin Wolf as well. And I already mentioned in another Stockton Heat Quick Hits that the rookie team also was named, where you had Dustin Wolf was the goaltender on that, and winger Jacob Pelche was on the all-rookie team. So definitely some accolades to go around when it comes to the Stockton Heat. As just like the Calgary Flames, the Stockton Heat had a great regular season as well, and bodes well for our organizational depth going forward. I'm going to definitely say hopefully Dustin Wolf will still lead the Stockton Heat into the Calder Cup Playoffs. Jacob Pelche filling net, same with Luke Phillip and Matthew Phillips, and maybe Connor Zari will find his form in the playoffs as well. So I guess I'll find out in the next video when I recap the second round playoff series between the Stockton Heat and the Bakersfield Condors. But this is how I'm going to recap the Stockton Heat and their playoff run. It's just going to be a separate spun up video, as it won't line up with the Calgary Flames playoff series, especially if this series goes to 5 games, while the playoff series with the Calgary Flames and the Dallas Stars would be over by then, so it wouldn't line up in that video anyway. And I'm hoping that with the Calgary Flames, I'll be recapping the first round as winners and teeing up the second round. Should we dare say Flames orders in the AHL playoffs? At least we're getting it in the American Hockey League. So that's all I have for previewing the Stockton Heat Quick Hits playoff series with the Bakersfield Condors, and just going over the crazy playoff bracket that the American Hockey League had this season for the expanded playoffs, to having 23 teams making the playoffs, and all the play-in series that ensued to fill out the bracket for the second round going on to the Calder Cup. So anyway, it's like I say, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, along the Flames, Hitmen, Roughneck Stampeders, as well as the Calgary FC, just make sure you hit like, subscribe, as I mostly do talk Calgary sports on my YouTube channel. I also do have a variety of non-sports content already in my library, but I just haven't had time to make any new content, like personal vlogs, stand-up comedy. I do share my experiences when I'm on the road or a sport and vlogging to go, which I've been too busy with work and everything else to make any content. But I do have all that in my library. I still do intend to make some in the future whenever I time, and I'll eventually get around to making that video series looking back on the Calgary Flames 2004 playoff run. I just say I haven't had time to get that going just yet. Eventually it's going to come sometime this year. So if that all sounds like it'd be interesting to watch, to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, you just make sure you like, subscribe on my other social links in the description below. And then I have my second channel in Brett Hornby Shorts, where I exclusively put my short form content on there. So I appreciate you subscribe both here on my main channel as well as my second channel. So I'm going to say, let's go Heat, let's go Flames. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.